Discover the incredible journey of Ginger, how 3 unexpected gifts gave him the wings to fly. Ginger dashed down the cracked pavement, each stride a desperate evasion of the stinging whispers that trailed behind him. "Oh, that's Ginger. His mom's always struggling," they said with derision, voices slicing through the air like razor blades. Reality pressed down on him, heavy like the worn backpack slung over his shoulder, stuffed with hopes, dreams, and the weight of his family's legacy. But he wouldn't let it smother him. He had to get home, his sanctuary, his heart. As he burst through the door, a familiar scent soothed his raw nerves. His mother's famous fried chicken sizzling in the kitchen meant love was at work. But it was his grandmother sitting in the dim light of their cozy living room, the air thick with nostalgia, that caught his breath. Her frail figure, arms enfolded around a small wooden box, struck a chord deep in his heart. Her blue eyes twinkled, aged yet brimming with vitality. "Ginger, darling," she began, voice quivering like a frail leaf in the wind. "I want you to have this." She placed the box in his hands. Ginger felt the texture of the wood against his palms, rough but warm, a mixing pot of diligence and love. Inside lay a beautifully crafted watch, an heirloom passed down generations, glistening under the fading sun. The moment punched him in the gut. It wasn't just a timepiece, it was a lifeline, a reminder that time waited for no one. The weight of his dreams clashed with the ticking hands, forcing him to grasp every fleeting second. "Make it count, Ginger. Do better than we did," his grandmother whispered. It was both a brandished sword and a soft caress. He could almost hear the echo of her past struggles, pressing into his chest. Before he could respond, doubt sliced through the warmth. Could he truly rise above his family's challenges? Could he conquer the barriers of prejudice and poverty? The next day, his best friend, Jake, surprised him. "I know you're worried about the college apps, man. Here." Jake reached for his pocket and pulled out a handful of cash, his eyes sincere. "I've got your back." Ginger's heart raced. This was a lifeline, yes, but it sparked tension at home. When he shared the news, his mom looked torn. Her veins pulsed with both relief and resentment. "Ginger, just because times are tough doesn't mean you should take handouts." Her voice, laced with the burden of self-reliance, hung heavily in the air between them, thick enough to choke dreams with muddy expectations. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Now, with a weight on his shoulders heavier than ever, Ginger discovered an unexpected scholarship opportunity that glimmered like a lighthouse through the stormy seas of his life. This could change everything, but with every passing day, shadows of doubt crept in like a thief in the night. Could he outrun the self-doubt that plagued his heart? As time ticked away, the weight of it all became suffocating. Ginger felt like he was caught in quicksand, fighting to stay afloat while every whisper, every raised eyebrow in his neighborhood tugged him back down. The dream he fought for seemed to slip away, the edges fraying like an old blanket. In that despairing moment, something stirred within him. Love from his family, loyalty from his friends, the murmurs of his community, all these began to form a tapestry of strength around his resolve. Maybe he didn't need to shoulder this alone. Maybe 2 wings could arise from the ashes of doubt. As he stood, heart racing, staring into the future that flickered before him like a distant star, he faced a choice. Would he embrace the power of those intangible gifts? Would he have the courage to seek his path not just for himself, but for all those who believed in him? The air trembled with that possibility. Could Ginger truly find his wings, igniting a spark of hope not only for himself, but for his entire neighborhood? Ginger's heart drummed in his chest as he contemplated the looming deadline for the scholarship application. The flickering light from the kitchen cast shadows that danced on the walls, but his focus remained locked on the gleaming watch on the table. It was more than just a timepiece. It felt like a beacon guiding him through the murky waters of uncertainty. With a deep breath, he plunged into his homework. But it wasn't just numbers or words he was grappling with. It was his future. He pulled out a sheet of paper and began jotting down his thoughts, his dreams materializing in ink on the empty page. "I want to be a doctor," he wrote, letting out a shaky exhale, "to help people like my mother." The thought of her face filled him with determination. He wanted her to smile proudly, to know that he was more than the boy people whispered about. He was Ginger, the grandson of a fighter, the son of a warrior. Days turned into a blur of late-night study sessions and heart-racing moments of doubt. Each time he felt overwhelmed, he'd recall his grandmother's words. Make it count. They burned in his mind like the last rays of sunset, pushing him beyond the confines of his fear. One evening, as he scribbled out his application essay, frustrations mounted. The weight of expectations pressed on him like an anchor. What if I don't get it? What if I'm not good enough? The thoughts circled like vultures. He slammed his pen down in despair, sending a stack of papers fluttering to the floor. Just then, there was a light knock on his door. It was Jake, peeking in with a smirk. "Dude, you look like you need a break. Let's grab some snacks and watch a game." For a moment, Ginger wanted to refuse, to remain buried under the weight of his aspirations. But then he saw the kindness in his friend's eyes, a reminder that he wasn't alone in his struggles. They settled into the living room, popcorn piled high between them, and yelled at the TV as the game unfolded. In those moments of laughter and camaraderie, Ginger felt a flicker of joy, cutting through the haze of stress that clung to him. "You know," Jake said during a break, "I believe in you, man. You're gonna crush that application. Just remember who you are. No one can take that from you." The sincerity of Jake's words struck a chord within him, resonating deep in his heart. As the game wound down to the last moments, Ginger's mind raced with a realization. Perhaps the secret to flying was not just in hard work, but in having people who believed in him. Renewed, he returned to his desk, letting Jake's encouragement fuel him. This time, the words flowed easily, weaving together his aspirations, his family's struggles, and his promise to make it count. But as he clicked send on his application, a chilling thought caught in his throat. What if acceptance came with conditions? What if, after everything, he'd be expected to carry not just his dreams, but the weight of another's expectations? That night, sleep didn't come easily as doubt wrapped its icy fingers around him. He stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment. The whispers, the support, the shimmering watch. It burned brightly in his mind, urging him to focus on hope instead of fear. He finally closed his eyes, the weight of what lay ahead heavy and unsettling. Could acceptance really mean breaking free, or would it shackle him further? As dawn broke, the impending decisions loomed like storm clouds. Ginger had only a few more days to prepare for whatever came next. Would he have enough courage to embrace the unknown? With the scent of fried chicken wafting from the kitchen, he knew his journey was just beginning, and he had to face it head-on. Would this leap into uncertainty give him the wings to soar, or would it ground him in ways he couldn't fathom? Ginger woke the next morning with a sense of urgency clawing at his chest. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow around his room, but it couldn't chase away the shadows of doubt that loomed in his mind. He sat up and rubbed the sleep from his eyes, trying to summon the confidence Jake had instilled him the night before. Breakfast was the usual buzz of the kitchen, his mother bustling about, frying eggs and flipping pancakes, but today each sound seemed magnified. The sizzling of the pan felt like a countdown. He needed to focus, to harness this energy into something productive. "Hey, Mom," he called, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. "Can we talk for a sec?" She turned, her face softening as she caught the worry etched on his brows. "Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" He took a breath. "I sent my application for the scholarship yesterday." Her eyes widened slightly, sparkling with a mix of pride and concern. "Honey, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you." "Yeah, but what if they don't pick me? What if I fail? I don't know if I can carry everyone's dreams on my back." His mother came over, her hands resting gently on his shoulders, grounding him. "Ginger, you are not alone. You've always had a community behind you. Me, your grandmother, Jake. It's okay to feel scared. It means you care." Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket. As he looked into her eyes, an idea sparked. What if I get in but can't handle the pressure? What if I let everyone down? His mother smiled softly, brushing a stray hair behind his ear. "Then you learn. You adapt. It's not about perfection. It's about perseverance." In that moment, Ginger felt a surge of courage building within him. He was not just carrying others' dreams. He was forging his own path, with every step woven from his experiences and supported by those who loved him. After breakfast, he retrieved his backpack and headed for the park. He needed clarity, a way to process the swirling thoughts in his head. The air was crisp, sending a chill through him, but it felt refreshing. He found a bench beneath an oak tree, its leaves rustling in the breeze, and pulled out his notebook again. As he wrote, memories flashed before him. Long nights studying, laughter with Jake, the unwavering support of his mother and grandmother. Each memory served as a reminder that he wasn't alone in this fight. Suddenly, a shadow crossed his path. It was a little girl, no older than 7, holding a colorful kite that danced with every gust of wind. She grinned up at him, eyes shining with excitement. "Do you want to help me fly it?" He blinked, surprised but intrigued. "Sure." Together, they ran across the park, the kite soaring higher and higher into the blue sky, its vibrant colors painting a canvas of hope. Each pull of the string brought an amazing rush, a blend of joy and freedom. Ginger laughed, the sound echoing through the trees. As they brought the kite down together, he understood. The dream wasn't just about the destination. It was about embracing the journey, sharing moments with people who believed in you, and finding joy in the little things. After saying goodbye to the girl, Ginger returned home feeling lighter. He still didn't know if he would get the scholarship or what the outcome would be, but that was okay. Maybe, just maybe, it was the leap itself that mattered. With new determination, he approached his desk and opened his notebook. This time, he didn't just write about his dreams. He wrote about the support he had, the community that would lift him when he stumbled. And as he closed his eyes, in that moment, he felt that he had wings. Wings to navigate any storm ahead. Wings that would allow him to soar. But what would happen if those wings were tested sooner than he anticipated? The weight of the world lay heavily on the horizon, and Ginger's heart raced at the thought of facing it all. Was he truly ready for what was to come? Ginger spent the rest of the day in a haze of optimism mixed with uncertainty. He kept glancing at his phone, waiting for an email or a message. Every buzz made his heart leap, but as the hours passed, the silence grew louder. He tried to distract himself, diving into homework and chores, but thoughts of disappointment loomed over him like dark clouds. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, his mother found him in the living room, deep in his own thoughts. "Ginger, can I get you to help with dinner?" she asked, breaking the spell of his worries. He looked up, forcing a smile. "Sure, I can set the table or something." As they worked side by side, she hummed softly, her calm presence easing the tension in the air. He could see the love etched in her face, the care she had always taken to create a warm home. But just as he felt comforted, a thought nagged at him like a dropped stitch in his favorite sweater. What if his dreams fell apart? What if he couldn't make her proud? "Mom," he said slowly, what if I'm not good enough?" She paused, placing a hand on the counter, her eyes searching his. "Honey, being good enough isn't about perfection. It's about being true to yourself and giving your best. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself." Ginger nodded, although the doubt didn't dissolve completely. Dinner came and went, laughter filling the air as they recounted stories from the day. But as soon as he retreated to his room, the weight of expectation pressed down again. He opened his notebook and stared at the pages filled with hopes and dreams. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. Heart racing, he snatched it up and saw a new email notification. With trembling fingers, he tapped the screen and opened it. "Congratulations, you have been selected." A wave of relief washed over him. The scholarship was his. But then, creeping in like an uninvited guest, came the gnawing anxiety that had plagued him all day. What if he couldn't live up to the expectations? What if the pressure was too much? He leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling, searching for answers. In that moment, something shifted within him. Perhaps he didn't have to be perfect or have all the answers. He only needed to take the next step, embrace the unknown, learn, and grow. The following morning was a flurry of emotions. As he sat at breakfast, he could barely eat, the news still fresh and thrilling. His mother noticed. "You all right, Ginger?" she asked, concern coloring her tone. "Yeah, it's just, I got it, the scholarship, but now I don't know if I deserve it," he admitted, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. "Listen," she said, her expression serious but caring. "Imposter syndrome is common. You earned this. Trust in yourself. Trust in what you bring to the table." He took a deep breath, feeling a sense of determination gather within him. "Thanks, Mom," he replied, a hint of bravery shining through his uncertainty. He was ready to embrace this adventure, even if the road ahead was foggy. After breakfast, he decided to call Jake. There was something about sharing his news with his best friend that soothed his nerves. Jake answered on the second ring, and as they exchanged excited chatter, laughter bubbled up inside Ginger, lightening his soul. But that excitement was cut short when Jake's voice suddenly dropped. "I gotta tell you something, Ginger. It's important." Ginger's heart raced. What could he possibly say that would change everything? Was he truly ready for what came next? Ginger's stomach twisted into knots as he waited for Jake to continue. The excitement they had just shared felt suspended in the air, heavy with anticipation. "What is it, Jake?" he urged, his voice barely above a whisper. "Okay, it's a bit complicated," Jake said slowly. "I didn't want to tell you until I was sure. But I'm moving. My dad got a new job, and we're relocating to another state." The words hung between them like a fog. Ginger blinked, trying to process the news. "Moving? Like, away?" He felt a knot tighten in his throat. "Yeah, next month. I'm sorry, man. I didn't want to bring it up while you were celebrating your scholarship. I thought you'd hate the news." Jake's voice faltered. The world shifted around Ginger. "Hate the news? How could I? This is huge for you. But what does this mean for us?" Each question felt like an echo, bouncing around his mind. "I don't know yet. I want to stay connected, but it's going to be different, you know?" Jake sounded almost defeated, like he had already mourned the loss of their friendship. The reality of the situation crashed down on Ginger. Jake had always been his rock, the one person who understood him without needing to explain. Every moment they spent together was now a cherished memory tinged with the bittersweet taste of change. "Can't you just stay?" he said, desperation creeping into his voice. Jake laughed softly, but it wasn't joyful. "If only it were that simple. I wish I could, buddy." There was a pause. Then Jake spoke again, his tone more serious. "Listen, I believe in you. You'll do amazing at that scholarship, Ginger. I just know it." Despite the weight on his heart, Ginger felt a spark of encouragement. "Thanks, Jake. That means a lot."
It wasn't the ending he wanted, but it was something. They spent the next few minutes talking, trying to laugh about their favorite memories, but Ginger knew it was the beginning of a farewell. As the call ended, he put down his phone and sat there, staring at the wall. His room felt different, colder. Moving forward felt overwhelming, but then he thought back to his mom's words about being true to himself. He had a scholarship now. He had to focus on that, on what that meant for his future. That afternoon, he drove to the park where he and Jake had spent countless hours hanging out. The sunset painted the sky in vibrant oranges and purples, much like the colors of the dreams he carried in his heart. He found a quiet bench and let the stillness wash over him. It was one of those moments when you feel the world breathing with you, yet somehow still apart. He would need to embrace everything life threw at him. There was uncertainty ahead, with Jake moving away and the scholarship's challenge looming. But there was also potential, the thrill of stepping into something new. As he sat there, an idea began to sprout in his mind. What if this was a chance to grow, to reach out, expand his circle, maybe even meet new people? What if not knowing what the future held was precisely what would make it remarkable? His phone buzzed again. He glanced down and saw a text from his mom. "I'm here for you, no matter what. You've got this." A smile crept onto his face. It became clearer to him. He could take the next step, even without Jake by his side. He could carry their friendship with him, expand his horizons, and find new paths. His heart raced with a blend of excitement and nervousness as he pondered this next chapter. But then another thought flickered in his mind, stoking the fire of curiosity. What if he documented everything? What if he turned this journey into something tangible, like a blog or a journal? With a resolve settling in his chest, Ginger stood up, feeling the weight begin to lift. He would channel this upheaval into something beautiful. Just as he turned to leave, he caught sight of a girl sitting alone on another bench, sketching the sunset. Could she be a friend? A quiet voice whispered inside him. Ginger took a deep breath, feeling the pull change. Would he dare to take the first step toward a new adventure? His pulse quickened with a mix of hope and nervousness as he approached her, ready to embrace whatever came next. Ginger felt the soft breeze against his face as he approached the girl, the aroma of blooming flowers mingling with the crispness of the evening air. He could see she was focused on her sketch, lightly biting her lower lip as she concentrated, her brow furrowed. This moment, filled with both nervousness and excitement, felt monumental. "Hey," he said, his voice barely breaking the tranquil atmosphere. She looked up, wide-eyed with surprise. Ginger noticed the freckles dusted across her cheeks, and something about her warmth instantly put him at ease. "Hi," she replied, a smile breaking across her face. "Are you enjoying the sunset too?" "Yeah, it's beautiful. I always come here when I need to think," Ginger shared, gesturing to the colorful sky. "I'm Ginger, by the way." "Nice to meet you, Ginger. I'm Zoe," she said, looking down at her sketchbook. "I'm trying to capture this before the light fades. What brings you out here?" For a split second, Ginger considered telling her about Jake and the tumultuous thought of moving on, but this moment felt different. "Just some changes in my life, I guess. I'm trying to figure some things out," he admitted, feeling a surge of vulnerability. Zoe nodded, her gaze softening. "I get that. Life can be really unpredictable, can't it? You can never really prepare for the surprises." Something about her words struck a chord deep within him. Ginger took a seat on the grass beside her, feeling the ground beneath him, grounding him. "Yeah, it feels overwhelming sometimes, but maybe it's time for something new?" She grinned, flipping her sketchbook around to reveal a beautiful drawing of the sunset that sparkled in orange and purple hues. "Exactly, just like the sunset. Each one is different. You never know what it will look like until it happens." He leaned closer, intrigued. "How do you capture all that in pencil?" Zoe chuckled. "It's trial and error, a lot of erasing and starting over. Just like life, sometimes you have to go back, reassess, and try again." Ginger's heart swelled. She was right. He couldn't hide behind fear or the pain of losing Jake. Instead, he could embrace the chance to grow, to mold his life like an artist shaping their canvas. "So what do you do when your sketches don't turn out?" "Adapt. Change what you intended and make it work. You'll be surprised how often mistakes turn into something beautiful," she replied, her eyes bright with passion. A silence stretched between them, filled with possibility. It felt refreshing to share this moment with someone who seemed to understand change and creativity the way he did. After all, they were both navigating unknowns. Ginger couldn't shake the thought of documenting his journey. "You know, maybe I'm going to start a blog about all this, about adapting and finding beauty in unexpected things. What do you think?" Her face lit up. "That sounds amazing. Share your story and connect with others who might be going through something similar. You never know who you could inspire." He felt invigorated by her enthusiasm. "Maybe you could help me, or we could collaborate. You could sketch for my blog, and I'll write about your art journey. Count me in. It sounds like a fun project. Plus, I could use more inspiration in my own life." Ginger felt a rush of excitement build inside him. This spontaneous connection felt uplifting. What if this was the beginning of something beautiful? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in its last burst of colors, Ginger looked at Zoe with newfound determination. "I think I'm ready to embrace this change," he said, smiling brightly. With a knowing glance, Zoe responded, "Then let's start this new chapter together. You're not alone in this." Feeling lighter than he had all day, Ginger felt the weight of friendship take root in his heart. As they chatted and shared their dreams, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises life had in store for him, and how would he navigate this colorful journey ahead? Something told him this was just the beginning. The next morning, the sun peeked through the window, casting patterns on Ginger's bedroom walls. He lay awake, heart racing, his thoughts a whirlwind of excitement and anticipation. The idea of starting a blog felt like a pulse of creativity, vibrant and alive. Zoe's enthusiasm echoed in his mind, pulling him from the comfort of his bed. After breakfast, he plopped down at his desk, a blank document open on his laptop. He tapped his fingers nervously against the keyboard, bones rattling with anticipation. "Okay, Ginger, let's do this," he whispered to himself, taking a deep breath. As he wrote, the words poured out like water from a spring. He wrote about his feelings of loss, the overwhelming need to express himself, and how he met Zoe, this artist with a soul that mirrored his own. He marveled at the natural connection they shared, how easy it felt to spill his heart to her. Hours slipped by, and it wasn't until he glanced at the clock that he realized how late it had become. The sun hung high in the sky, bathing everything in warm golden light. He felt a tug of excitement at the thought of sharing his unfinished thoughts with Zoe. He sent her a quick message,
inviting her to the park again. They could talk about the blog, brainstorm ideas, and maybe sketch together under the trees. It felt thrilling to consider the collaboration, to explore their creativity side by side. With a nervous energy buzzing in his veins, he packed his bag, loaded with his laptop, a notebook, and a snack. When Ginger arrived at the park, the buzz of the day wrapped around him. He found Zoe on a bench, her sketchbook open on her lap, deep in concentration. The sight of her brought a smile to his face. Today, he hoped, would unveil more than just aspirations. It would be about creation and connection. "Hey, Zoe," he called, waving. She looked up, her eyes sparkling under the sunlight. "Ginger, I'm so glad you're here." Her enthusiasm washed over him like the warm breeze that danced through the trees. As he settled beside her, they dove into deep conversation about art, life, and their mutual dreams. Ginger revealed his progress on the block, sharing snippets of his writing, while Zoe sketched him under her pencil's light strokes.
He could feel the energy flowing between them, a tapestry of ideas creating something more significant than itself. "It's so freeing, isn't it?" Zoe mused, looking up from her sketch. "To express ourselves without fear of judgment. It's like breathing for the soul." "You're right. I've hidden for too long, worried about what others might think," Ginger admitted, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. Zoe leaned closer, her expression serious but kind. "Remember, it's about your journey and how you choose to share it. You'll find your voice, just like I'm finding mine with my art." As the sunlight began to fade again, Ginger's heart swelled with a sense of purpose. He leaned back, watching Zoe draw, her brow furrowing slightly as she concentrated. He thought about the paths they were forging, both individually and together. But just as the warmth enveloped him in a cozy embrace, a faint sound tugged at his attention, an unexpected argument nearby. A couple stood a few feet away, their voices raised and palpable tension in the air. The words they exchanged were sharp, leaving Ginger feeling uneasy. "Ginger, are you okay?" Zoe asked softly, noticing his discomfort. "Yeah, I guess it reminds me that life isn't always peaceful or easy," he replied, his eyes still lingering on the couple. "True, but even in chaos there's beauty to be found," she encouraged, her voice soothing. He turned back to her, the weight of vulnerability displayed in her eager, honest gaze. Could they find beauty in chaos together? As the evening deepened, Ginger felt a flicker of hope sparking in his heart. But would that hope survive the unexpected obstacles ahead? Just then, the couple's argument escalated, the words slicing through the tranquil atmosphere. What if conflict unraveled his newfound connection with Zoe? What would his next step be if they faced unexpected challenges together? An urgent question lingered in the air as he turned to Zoe, their eyes locking. Could they navigate this unpredictable journey side by side? Or were they about to confront barriers that could change everything? As the couple's voices grew louder, the tension became thick, almost tangible. Ginger felt a tightness in his chest, a stark contrast to the warmth that had enveloped him just moments before. He stole a glance at Zoe, who was focused, her brow knitted in concern. She brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and he admired the way she always seemed to find a spark of inspiration amid chaos. Do you think people want to express themselves but get too scared?" Ginger asked, hoping to shift the mood. It felt essential to explore this topic, even as the couple argued on. "Definitely," Zoe replied, her voice thoughtful. "Sometimes the fear is louder than the voice inside. We just need to find the courage to drown out the noise." She gestured toward the couple with her chin. "Like them. They're showcasing their chaos instead of creating something beautiful." He nodded, absorbing her words. Just then, one of the individuals in the argument shouted something sharp, and the other's face turned red with fury. It felt invasive. Ginger looked away, feeling overwhelmed by the intensity of their strife. "Let's focus on us," Zoe suggested. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a softer tone. "What about that part of your blog where you talk about vulnerability?" It was a life buoy thrown his way. Ginger took a deep breath, allowing his thoughts to settle. It's scary to be vulnerable. I mean, what if people don't respond the way I hope? Zoe leaned back, a knowing smile warming her features. But what if they do? What if your words resonate with someone who's feeling the same weight? Or what if it sparks a conversation that connects people? Her words wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. In that moment, the argument faded into the background. He felt a spark of determination rise within him. You're right. Just like you with your art, You pour your heart into it, knowing it could touch someone else, even if just one person. Yes, Zoe shot back, her eyes sparkling. It's about taking the risk. Ginger shifted in his seat, suddenly energized. Then let's take that risk together. What if I wrote about what scares me, and you shared your pieces about overcoming chaos? Zoe smiled wider. I love that idea. We can push each other. Art and writing can be our tools for that. We can create something meaningful together. Just then, the argument reached a crescendo, and out of instinct, Ginger clasped his hands together tightly. But Zoe, what if this pushes us apart? What if we end up struggling to process our emotions and it drives a wedge between us? Zoe paused, her expression serious. We have to be honest about our feelings. If we're scared, let's name the fear. We can face it head on. Ginger's heart thumped louder in his chest. Could they truly embrace the messy and uncertain path ahead? The weight of Zoe's gaze brought him to a realization. What if I'm not enough? What if everything I write isn't good enough for the blog? Hey, she said softly, reaching for his hand. You're more than enough. Every single word you write is a piece of who you are. Don't ever forget that. As they shared this unguarded moment, a shift occurred. The couple finally turned away, their argument subsiding into abrupt silence, allowing the tranquility of the park to coax them back into a peaceful environment. Ginger felt a swell of hope wash over him, battling the remnants of self-doubt still hanging around. Zoe, thank you for being my compass through this chaotic world, he said, feeling a connection deepen. Together, we can create our own lighthouse, guiding each other through the storms.
The questions lingered, though. Could they genuinely confront the hurdles life would throw at them? Would their connection endure the tests that awaited them on this shared creative journey? As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Ginger glanced at Zoe, wondering just how far they were willing to go. What new obstacles awaited them on this artistic adventure? And could they transform their fears into something breathtaking, something neither could imagine alone? The serene evening air wrapped around Ginger and Zoe, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions brewing in their hearts. As the colors of the sunset danced above them, Ginger felt a potent mix of excitement and anxiety. He turned to Zoe, who was still looking at the sky, her expression thoughtful and serene. Zoe, he said, breaking the silence, where do we even start? She turned her gaze to him, her eyes twinkling with inspiration. I think we should start from a place of honesty. Let's write about the things that scare us the most. You know, facing the fears head on. A soft breeze rustled the leaves above them, creating a cocoon of intimacy. Ginger nodded, feeling a rush of energy. Okay, like the fear of failure? Yes, that one definitely needs to be addressed, Zoe said. We all worry about not being good enough or not making an impact. Ginger felt a tightness in his throat. It was one thing to think about these emotions, but another wholly to lay them bare on paper. It's just, what if my vulnerability doesn't connect? What if no one cares? Zoe squeezed his hand reassuringly. Trust the process. Just write from your heart. It's not about them. It's about you letting it out. You can't control how others will react, but you can control your voice. There was wisdom in her words, and he drew strength from them. And what about your art? What scares you? She took a moment, her expression shifting to contemplation. Honestly, it's the fear of people not understanding or appreciating what I create. I put so much of myself into it, and that makes it personal. Ginger felt an ache in his chest for her. She poured herself into her work just as she did in their relationship. So we both have our hurdles to jump, he said quietly. Exactly, she said with a small smile that warmed him. But think about this. What if by sharing these fears, we open the door for others? Maybe they'll feel less alone in their struggles. He liked that idea. Maybe their honesty could be a branch for someone else. Minutes turned into an hour as they brainstormed, the air around them thick with creative energy. Ginger sketched in his notebook while Zoe doodled alongside him, their ideas intertwining. Every now and then, they glanced at each other, sharing laughs and smiles that lit up the twilight. But as the sky deepened into navy, casting shadows over them, Ginger felt a twinge of something lurking beneath the surface.
Zoe, he said suddenly, what if this doesn't just bring us closer? What if it drives a wedge between us? She paused, her expression serious once more. Facing fears can be tough, but it could also be a real catalyst for growth. We just have to be willing to communicate and support each other through it. The sincerity in her tone reassured him. You're right. If we're open about our feelings, we can navigate through anything, right? Exactly.
It's a leap of faith, but I believe in us. With renewed energy, they continued brainstorming late into the night, scribbling down ideas and sharing snippets of dreams and fears. But as they reached the end of their session, a sudden uncertainty filled the air. Would they be able to withstand the emotional storms to come? Would their journey of vulnerability tear at the seams of their relationship, or would it fortify their bond? Ginger felt a chilling thought creeping in. The world beyond them didn't wait for personal explorations. What if the pressures of reality became too great? A sense of urgency thrummed in his chest as he caught Zoe's eye. So, where do we go from here? What's our next step? In that moment, the uncertainty was palpable. They'd begun a journey, but the path ahead was unclear, steeped in fear and possibility. As Ginger pondered the flickering candlelight of hope and fear, he knew one thing: every step mattered, and the adventure they were embarking on was both daunting and exhilarating. What challenges would emerge as they dared to be vulnerable? And could they truly navigate the corkscrew with creativity without losing themselves or each other in the process? The next day brought a soft golden light streaming through the curtains, illuminating Ginger's room. The weight of yesterday's conversations lingered in the air, a blend of exhilaration and uncertainty. Ginger sat on his bed, notebook and pencil at the ready, but the thoughts in his mind were chaotic. Could he genuinely spill his heart onto the page? He took a deep breath, remembering Zoe's encouragement. Trust the process. With renewed determination, he began to write, the pencil gliding across the paper. Fear of failure, the pressure of expectations, losing the connection with those I care about. Each word felt like releasing a balloon into the sky, unburdening, letting go. As he wrote, memories of laughter and time spent with Zoe flooded him, and he felt his heart swell. They were forging something beautiful together, and he needed to be honest about his fears. Not just for himself, but for her too. I'm scared that by revealing too much, I might break this wonderful thing we have. Heart pounding. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was Zoe, asking if they could meet at the park later to discuss their thoughts and next steps. A wave of warmth flooded over him. It felt like their connection was thriving. Later that afternoon, they met under a sprawling oak. The sun hung high, and the light cast playful shadows on the ground around them. Zoe looked up from her sketchbook, her face brimming with anticipation. "Hey," she greeted, her voice bright and inviting. "Excited to share our thoughts?" "Definitely. I've been thinking a lot about vulnerability," he admitted, settling onto the grass beside her. They exchanged notes, hesitant at first, but growing more relaxed as they spoke. Zoe shared her fears about her art, about rejection and being misunderstood. "I feel like I'm exposing my soul every time I create," she said, her eyes shimmering with earnestness. Ginger nodded. "I get it. For me, I worry that by sharing my story, I might not get the response I want. What if I fail?" "Oh, Ginger," she sighed. "What if your story inspires someone who's feeling alone? What if your fears resonate deeply with someone else?" Her words washed over him like a cool breeze on a hot day. With each passing moment, they peeled back layers of uncertainty, turning their worries into stepping stones. "Let's do this, together," Zoe said, determination sparking in her voice. "Let's embrace the chaos we fear and turn it into creativity." Ginger felt a pulse of hope ignite in his chest. "Yes, let's share our stories, join our fears, let's make it real." As they brainstormed and outlined their blog, a sense of camaraderie enveloped them. They were pooling their strengths, crafting something bigger than their individual contributions. Laughter echoed around them as they exchanged ideas, melding art with words. But just when it felt effortless, a shadow of doubt flickered across his mind again. "Zoe, what if during this process we find that our fears drive us apart?" Zoe paused, her gaze serious yet unwavering. "Then we take the time to talk about it. We owe it to ourselves to be honest, every step of the way." He appreciated her firmness. It grounded him. With growing enthusiasm, they launched into a discussion about sharing their vulnerability online, how their words could impact others who might feel alone in their fears. Time seemed to slip away as they swirled around the topics of dreams, aspirations, and self-discovery. Then Ginger, with an enthusiastic glint in his eye, suggested they launch the blog that weekend. "Let's invite others to join our journey. Let's create a community where we can be honest about our struggles," he proposed. "Absolutely," Zoe exclaimed, her eagerness infectious. "We could even share a piece of our own stories in the first post, show them it's okay to embrace fear." Under the golden sunlight, a bond formed between them, a promise and commitment to support each other through the thick and thin of their journey. The day passed with laughter and planning, but also with moments of silence, where the weight of uncertainty and fear danced in the air. As they finished outlining their first blog post, Ginger's heart raced.
There was a tangible thrill in the thought of stepping into the unknown together, but lingering in the back of his mind was the feeling of vulnerability. Would this connect them or expose the cracks? Before they parted ways, Zoe squeezed his hand, her eyes soft and understanding. Whatever happens, Ginger, we're in this together, and that's what matters. The warmth of her words wrapped around him like a cozy blanket. They were embarking on a journey to create, connect, and face the storms ahead. With their paths intertwined, Ginger felt newfound strength swell within him. As he lay in bed that night, thoughts raced through his mind. Excitement bubbled alongside anxiety, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to embark on something transformative. With a renewed spirit, he smiled, realizing that facing the unknown together was the beginning of a beautiful adventure. Would their courage in vulnerability ignite a chain reaction, or would it shatter the foundation they had built? The next steps lay in waiting, ready to challenge them in ways they could never imagine. But one thing was clear. Together, they would find their wings and soar. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts about this transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans know how important it is to keep this community thriving.